All right, I welcome you all once again to today's lesson. In fact, we've been going through a lot of concepts. We've solved a lot of examples, but today we are not going to go through a concept. We are only going to solve a question. And looking at this question, this is what one of the questions of the 2025 core mathematics, which our students just wrote. Um, so, before we continue, let me introduce myself once again. My name is Evans Okan. This is Mazris TV. Kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also search Mazris TV on TikTok. Okay. All right. So I'm still your mathematics facilitator. Without wasting my time, let's see this beautiful question. Okay. So this is um, the question one of the session A part. Okay, so in this question, we are saying that an intercity shuttle travels between two cities, Amanfro and Kotoku, covering the first half of the distance at an average speed of 60 kilometers per hour and the second half at 90 kilometers per hour. So in this question, we are saying that if the total distance between the two cities is given as what 300 kilometers, then we have to calculate the for the entire journey the average speed of the shuttle. And then the B part, we are also to determine the effects on the overall time if the speed of the shuttle in the first half of the journey is reduced to 50 kilometers per hour. So this is a beautiful question. Now looking at this question, um, this is a question from one of the concepts of the senior high school core mathematics, and that is average speed. So when you hear average speed, you know that it deals with what? Distance and time. Okay, distance and time. So let's try our best and see how we can go through this question. Okay, so if that's the case, let's go through our solutions. So this is the image we have here. We are going to have this diagram to interpret it small. This diagram is just going to help us understand it better. So when you have this question, there's no need for you to be drawing all this diagram. This is just a tutorial. Okay, we are only explaining. So you may decide to do a sketch if you want to for this question, but it's not mandatory that always you should try and so you see that we have these two cities here, and that is what Amanfro and Kotoku, and then we have the shuttle. So the shuttle, which is a bus that conveys people from one town or city to another, between two or towns or cities, or from one place to another, and then comes back again and convey again. So if that we are saying that um, this shuttle um, takes people from a month from, and when it covers half, okay, but in that case, we are saying that the total distance, that's if it moves from Amanfro to Kotoku, then we are going to get a distance of what? 300 kilometers. Okay, if we have the 300 kilometers as the total distance, then what will be the half distance from, okay, from Amanfro? Okay, then we are going to say that when it moves from Amanfro, it get to a point where we can say that it has traveled half, okay, halfway of the 300 kilometers distance. Okay, and then when it continues, we get the second what half to complete the total distance. Okay, that's what we are saying. So if we are talking about half, then it means that we need to divide the 300 kilometers into two so that we get um, we know what the distance for the first half and the distance for the second half. If that's the case, then if we divide it into two, then we are going to get what? 150 kilometers. Once we have 150 kilometers, then it means for the first half, it means that the second half also have the same, because we are talking about what? Half. Okay, so when you look at the two, you realize that both the first and the second have the same total distance. Okay, great, good. So um, that is what we have here. Okay, so we have the 150 kilometers as first and second. Then let's write down the information given, some of the items given in the question. Okay, so if that's the case, we are saying that the total distance, which is 300 kilometers, then we also have the average speed of the first half, which is 60 kilometers per hour. Then for the second half, we also have 90 kilometers per hour. All right, good. And then we have the 150 kilometers as what for both first and the second. Okay, good. If that's the case, then how do we find the average speed? We know the average speed is given as what? Total distance divided by total time taken. Okay, so once you have this, if you are asked to find the average speed, we know the total distance as what? 300 kilometers. What about the time taken? So in this case, because we don't know the time taken or the total time taken, what do? We need to find the total time taken, because without the total time taken, you'll not be able to find the average speed of the entire journey. Have you gotten the point? Good. But we are able to calculate for the distance covered by the first half and the second half, and we also know the average speed. Then it will be easy for us to find the time. So what we do is that we are going to find the the time taken for the first half and the time taken for the second half. Then we combine the two to get the total time taken. Then our work becomes easy for us. If that's the case, then um because we are saying 300 kilometers divided by time, we don't know time, and that is our t. If that's the case, then we can say that we have time taken giving us what? Total distance divided by average speed. So that's good. Then I will let t subscript f and t subscript what s be my time taken, which cover what? The first half and the second half respectively. Okay, so if that's the case, if we are saying that total time taken is total distance, and since we know that, then we can say that TF is given by 150 kilometers divided by 60 kilometers per hour, because we calculated, we found what? Half of um 300 kilometers, and we got 150, and we were also given the average speed for the first half. So since we have our formula as for total distance over average speed, then it is easy for us. We just find the ratio, and then we get what? 5 on 2 hours. Good. So please, when you get here, don't rush to find the decimal part, because if you find the decimal part, maybe you may have to run up, and when you do that, it may affect your finances. So when you get fractions like this, you need to keep it. And mind you, we are also dealing with what? Time. So the moment you try to find the decimals, you may have to run and you may find it difficult to. Okay, good. So you leave your answer in a fraction like that. Then let's also find um, the time taken for the second half, which is also given as what? The same 150 kilometers, but divided by what? 90 kilometers, and that also gives us what? 5 on 3 hours. Okay, so these are the two times that we have. If that's the case, then we find the total time taken, which is just what? Addition of the time taken for the first half and the time taken for the second half. Okay, and that is what we have here. If that's the case, then um we can say that 5 on 2 hours plus 5 on 3 hours, which gives us what? This is a simple fraction, so it's very common and easy to do. So we just find it and get what? 25 on 6 hours. If that's the case, then we are going to find the answer for the A. Okay, that's for my A. where the A is asking us to find the average speed of the entire journey. All right, great. So as you can see, you see that we have it. Then as we know that the total distance is for 300 kilometers, and we also know time taken as what 25.6. Then finding the average, which is giving us what this total distance on total time taken. Then we just do substitution and go away. Okay, so we just do that and then move on. Okay, good. So average speed then is giving us what 300 kilometers divided by 25.6 hours, and that is also gives us this. So when we multiply through, we are going to get what 72 kilometers per hour. Okay, 72 kilometers. Now you know that for average speed, sometimes the measure or the units, there are times that you may be given meters and the time may also be given in what seconds. Okay, but in this case we are given what kilometers. When it's given to you in kilometers like this, know that it should also go with what hours. Okay, when it is given to you in what meters, know that it should go in what seconds. So if it is hours and if it is given, one is given in meters and you are given the time as hours, you need to change the maybe the hour to seconds, or you change the meter to kilometers. So take note of this. Okay, great. So we have 72 as an answer. Okay, we can then conclude that therefore the average speed of the shuttle for the entire journey is 72 kilometers per hour, and that answers our first um, question. That's the A. Okay, if that's the case, then let's look at the second one, which is the B part. So for the B, it is saying that if the speed of the shuttle in the first half of the journey is reduced to 50 kilometers per hour, we have to determine its effect on the overall what? Time. So in this case, this time we are saying that the first half of the journey, it is reduced. So we are giving a new average what age for the first one, but as for the second one, we are not giving a new. So we keep the second one, which is the second half, and work with the what the first half. So what we do is we need to find um the time taken, okay, to cover the first half when it is reduced to what 50 kilometers. Okay, so this time we know that we are not going to use the average speed for the previous one, which was given as 60 kilometers. Instead, we are going to use what 50 kilometers. That is what we are going to use now. Okay, so we are saying that the new average speed of the first what half is giving us what 50 kilometers per hour, and then how do we find the time taken? It's just a matter of the same 150 kilometers, because we are still talking about the same total distance. This time we were not given a new total distance, so we are still using the total distance for the first one. It's just that we only change the average speed to 50. Okay, so once we find that, then we are going to get what 3 hours. So this means that the new time taking for the first half is what 3 hours. So once we have this, then we still have to find the total what time taken, and as we did in the A, when finding the total time, we added the two. So this time, since our new time taken for the first half is 3 hours, then we just add it to the second one, that is the previous one. As for that one, we didn't change it. Okay, so the new um total time taken is what the new time taken for the first half plus the previous time taken for the second half. Okay, and that is what 3 hours plus 5 on 3 hours, and which gives us what 14 on 3 hours. So the 14 on 3 hours gives what? The new total time taken. Have you gotten that? So you see that this is what? Very basic. Okay, great. Good. So that is what we have here. If that's the case, then since the question said we should find or determine the effect it will have on the overall time, then what we are going to do is we need to compare the old or the previous total time taken and the new time taken. We need to compare the two and see if there has been a change in time. Okay, if there has been a change, if there is a change, then we can conclude, we find what is the change. Okay, whether the time has been increased or it has been decreased. Okay, in the new time, then we use it to conclude, and that is going to help us determine the effect. Okay, so since we have the new time taken for overall journey as 14 on 3 hours, and the previous one or the original one, the original total time taken, we also got what? 25. So if you look at the two, you realize that there has been a change because they are not the same. Okay, so it means that when um, the average speed of the first half was reduced to 50, there has been what? A change in the time. Okay, so that is what we are talking about. If that's the case, let's look at that change. Okay, so change in time, we just find the difference of the two, and the difference that gives us what? um 3 on 6, and if we further simplify, we are going to get what? 0.5. That is half. So half an hour, it means that we have gotten half an hour, and you know that half an hour is what? Is 30 minutes when you change it to minutes. If you change half to minutes, okay, it's what? 30 minutes. We all know that half an hour is what? 30 minutes. So it means that there has been, is it that the time has been increased or it has been decreased? You realize that we subtracted the previous one from the current one, the new one. That means the new one is greater than the old one, which suggests that there has been an increment in time. Okay, so when the first half, the average speed what? Reduces to 50 kilometers per hour, then the time taken, the overall time taken also what? Increases by how many minutes? 30 minutes. Okay, or by 0.5 hours. Okay, so if that's the case, then we can conclude that therefore the overall time taken for the journey is increased by what? 0.5 hours or 30 minutes when the speed of the shuttle in the first half of the journey is reduced to 50 kilometers. So this answers all. Okay, so you see that the question is not difficult. It is very easy. Just that such questions, when it's given to you, you need to take your time. Okay, so this answers everything. So my dear student, I encourage you to solve more examples on that. Now in our next videos, we are also going to solve more questions on the Wassce. Okay, we shall look at some of them, especially those that students have challenge, because this one of our students told me to help him solve this one. So we shall be looking at those challenging ones, the easy ones. I know you can do that. So we shall also be solving some of the questions in the elective maths one. Okay, in our previous or in our next lessons. Okay, if that's the case, then let's end here and continue next time. My name is Evans Okan. I'm your mathematics facilitator. This is Wassce TV. Kindly subscribe, like, and share. So see you next time. Bye bye.